Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Robert, for reminding us about the fact that being oriented towards action and doing right things may mean nothing unless there is a common goal and unless there is a passion for that common goal. And I especially liked you mentioning of the need for branding of nutrition. I have observed how much it is needed when talking to people who are far from concerns about nutrition and can only bring in, to be brought into that world, if there is a catchphrase that would situate nutrition in a broader context understandable for them. Thank you very much. Let's move on, and our second speaker this morning will be Professor Friedman, please.
Is this all right? Good sound. Thank you. I'm honored to be here. I am going to speak as a geographer about the big shift that's needed toward a sustainable food system, which is the only one that can support health. And I begin with the idea, a very geographical and existential idea, that we need to be able to think not about add-ons for carbon, for biodiversity, but fundamentally to integrate our farming, our way of getting food as a species, with the management of our ecosystems in a wise way. As a planner, I'm very interested in how public policy can help us get from where we are to where we want to be. And as a citizen and civic activist and a longtime member of the Toronto Food Policy Council, formerly chair, I'll say a few words about, very few, about some of the progress we've made there and in these directions. Let me start with where we want to get. A sustainable food system grows what is good for the earth and eats what is good to grow. Humans eat what is good to grow in the places that they live. For 50 years now, we've been moving in a very different direction. The existing agri-food system has left an agricultural policy legacy devoted to maximum yields per person, that is, shedding labor, and producing low-cost edible commodities. It did what it was intended. Coming out of 2 depressions and a war, people were understandably concerned about sufficiency of calories and proteins. It increased grain yields per person through specialization and trade for the first 25 of those years. It seemed set to end the age-old vulnerabilities to climate and famine. However, for the more recent 25 years, the more recent half of that period, food insecurity has increased as livestock operations and fuels offer better prices to farmers than poor humans. While byproducts of the livestock industry, such as high fructose corn syrup, have driven manufacturing toward unhealthy edible commodities, which are the ones increasingly available to poor consumers. Worse, industrial agriculture threatens the soils, water, biological diversity, all the natural cycles that support human civilizations. In effect, the modern food system grows what is good to sell and eats what is good to buy. So what I'm suggesting is we have to think about markets, which are absolutely necessary and fundamental, as institutions that need to be embedded in society and in ecosystems. The policy legacy of this past 50 years of going in the wrong direction have been that agriculture and health, one of the legacies is that agriculture and health policies have developed outside of any conversation with each other. Agricultural policies have supported monocultures and trade, and they've had the desired result for grains and livestock, the unintended consequences being diets high in fat and sweeteners, we've heard all of this, inadequate quantities, inadequate distribution, so food insecurity lacking for those unable to purchase or grow their own food. The worst situation, though, and I haven't heard anything different for sure, maybe, in this meeting is that fresh fruits and vegetables and aquaculture are now adopting the monocultural practices geared to export, which were pioneered by grain and intensive livestock. California has been the leader here for a very long time. It's now followed by Chile, Kenya, and other export success stories. There are some counterexamples. We heard yesterday of Mala grape, and where cooperatives are able to meet export standards for Global Gap and so on. But in general, it's a problem, as the speaker from Maha Grape said herself, to reorient toward a domestic market. So the ship that's been going in the wrong direction has been gaining momentum. And at the same time, we need our small farmers to not only grow food, but to grow it in diverse ways that enhance biodiversity, water quality, and capture carbon. The discourses are coming up. I'm hearing it in this meeting, but they need to be made central, not add-ons, in order to be able to think about where we need to go for agriculture to be healthy. At the same time, health policies were designed to treat acute sickness, and for 50 years or more, they've made great progress in infectious diseases. Nutrition was defined as sufficiency of calories and proteins, and malnutrition was measured according to the lack of those, and fortification was carried out with selected micronutrients. It's very hard now to turn this ship of health policy around to attend to what we now recognize are necessary, the qualitative dietary deficiencies. It's a fiscal crisis in the North, in the OECD countries, of how health systems can possibly deal with the chronic illnesses that are avoidable and are diet-related, notably diabetes and heart disease. So it is not necessary for the countries in the rest of the world to reproduce this problem. This is where the work in the Toronto Food Policy Council as a citizen activist in the Department of Public Health, it's a volunteer citizens council within public health. We've been working for 20 years. And after 20 years of quiet work and resistance and organizing all the civil society groups that are connected through this council, finally the medical officer of health has taken it on. He has created, through a very interesting process across the different bureaus of the city and through the civil society networks and consultations in various drafts, created the Toronto Food Strategy. And this is a process which will be what we make it. It's just come out this year. I can give anyone the web link who likes. It tries to include marginal populations who are hungry. We do have hunger, and it's been growing in Toronto and in some of the rural areas and small municipalities. To facilitate a creative agri-food economy, to create neighborhood food hubs, and to facilitate urban agriculture, as well as increasing the links between rural and urban agriculture, saving farmland, increasing employment in the creative agri-food economy that transcends the old rural-urban divide. In general, by putting this in the health department, we're trying to suggest that health needs to be the new metric for public policy to replace money. Money's there, money's important. We need it to run our governments, and we need it to make the economy flow. But it's important to be able to think that we need to turn these massive ships of agricultural and health policies towards sustainability. So I have two concrete suggestions to make as directions of public policy that could turn, little tugboats that could start to turn these great big ships around toward a sustainable food system. Both involve increasing labor and skilled labor in an integrated agri-food system. Both are public policies that can be done right now, or begun right now. The first is to use conditional cash transfers in a productive way. They're used now to interrupt the cycle of poverty for households in need. I suggest that we can also use them productively to facilitate small farmers developing the skills, the technologies for agroecosystem management and food production, for cycling of nutrients, for energy, for a variety of integrated activities, and that the condition is simply that they do that they manage the ecosystems well. We will have to find new and much more complex measures of ecosystem productivity. But if we continue to measure productivity of agriculture in terms of labor, we will continue to shed labor. That's just how it is. Our measures are part of the policy and practical apparatus that has led us here, and we have to start to shift it. We need to, I would say, use CCT as a productive investment in sustainable livelihoods in a creative agri-food sector that is regionally or nationally based. Instead of encouraging farmers to become growers of garlic or shrimp for export and risking their livelihoods if the Walmart or Global Gap checker rejects their products, we could make cash transfers conditional on improving the integrity of ecosystems and the health of crops. This is a form of targeting that I think has multiple benefits. Farmers' knowledge is crucial to managing ecosystems. They also need the help of formal science that is directed toward an agenda that is to enhance and maximize the productivity, the natural cycles, the integrity of the cycles of soils, waters, forests, wetlands, and grasslands. Scientific research needs to be funded to move in that direction, and extension needs to work collaboratively with farmers to integrate their needs into research agendas. We need to upgrade the income, skills, and social esteem of occupations in healthy food and farming, and this is one way we can break through this impasse between farmers needing more money and consumers needing more access. Let us pay farmers for the services they provide in managing ecosystems, in and in training new farmers. The second measure that the second policy I'm going to suggest is public procurement. There are examples in Brazil, there are examples in Africa, there are examples in India of using public procurement for schools, hospitals, public, civic, and national government agencies to buy healthy local foods and to encourage the cooperative and networked social economy to provide those foods. And you get at least a double benefit of providing healthy food to people in need, to young people, to sick people, to students, and of supporting a shift in farming toward scientifically based agroecosystem management. So in this, to conclude, both of these are government or public policies that see government as a platform to encourage social innovation, as a platform for the creativity that is already there in agriculture, in artisanal food production, in small trading, and in all of the relationships between them. It's not about command and control, but about building a platform for an emerging social economy. My experience in food system change in both civil society and municipal government in Toronto, and indeed in Canada, is that people respond enthusiastically and collaboratively to opportunities to grow food that is good for the earth and to eat food that is good to grow. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Friedman, for drawing such interesting parallels between the history of agriculture policies and health policies and the proposal of a very creative use of conditional cash transfers. I think we also appreciated very much the fact that you provided two perspectives, perspective of a professor but also of activist, and the combination of both together in one speech has been quite powerful. We now move on to our next speaker, Cheryl Jackson-Lewis from USAID. And Cheryl will have, I think, a short PowerPoint presentation, support what she says. Cheryl.